and then how many of us really look back and say that, oh, we've been able to accomplish this or that. So this webinar is going to help us to sort of have an overview of our life. One thing we call self-assessment, to assess our lives and see if we've really been able to accomplish everything we set out to. So this webinar is going to be handled by no other. No, I don't know if I'm the right person to do the introduction, but then it's an honor to have Mr. Saki on the call. I'm going to give a brief introduction about him so that we know that he's for want of a better word, the best person to handle the session. Uh, Mr. Kosaki is a seasoned finance and capital market leader, currently serving as a treasurer at the Republic Bank of Ghana, with decades of experience in securities, banking, investment, and investment banking. He previously served as the CEO of Republic Securities Ghana and held a senior role including authorized dealing officer, stockbroker, and capital market dealer. Mr. Saki holds a degree in economics from the University of Ghana. What are the EG students? I'm sure by this time, the EG students are feeling very proud that, oh, see our alumni doing exploits. But then once you decide to focus on your career and build yourself, one day you'd also probably be hosting one of these webinars. He combines deep financial expertise with strong analytical leadership and mentorship skills, making him a respected voice in Ghana's banking sector. Aside from his secular work, he's also a man who is very involved in ministry. He currently serves as a Sunday school superintendent and also a football commentator. If you listen to Joy FM or you follow football, you've probably been hearing his voice a few times on Joy FM. And his favorite team is Arsenal. What are the Arsenal fans? Do you have any Arsenal fans here? All right, all right. So without much ado, we've taken a bit of time. Do you want to share? Let's see, let's have a few people share their expectations. We've already heard from uh, Adam and Komla. Let's see, let me mention a few people. Erica, do you want to share your expectations for today's webinar? Okay. If you want to share your expectations, kindly raise a hand and unmute so that you are
Hello,
able to.
Pony Love.
Hi, Erica.
Yes, thank you. And then good evening to everyone, and good evening to our guest speaker as well. So, for my expectations, I'm looking forward to learning what I've done wrong in terms of my plan for the year and what I can
Right.
correct by listening to our guest speaker and picking a few things to factor into the coming year. Thank you.
Yeah, Erica, thanks for sharing. I think the key thing for me is what you say, what I have done wrong. Yes. Many of us make a lot of mistakes, but how many of us are willing to learn from them? We sort of turn a blind eye to it. So this webinar is going to certainly be an eye-opener. Do you want to take one more? That's one. Anybody else want to share their expectations for today's webinar before we hand over to our speaker for today? Anybody? Anybody? This one there, I feel like I should use Victor Power. Let's see who I call. Prisla, do you want to share your expectations? Prisla Nadrilati.
Hi.
Hi, Prisla.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't catch what you said. So,
Yes, yes, yes. I was asking for your expectations for today's session. We know that the topic is about wrapping up the year rightly, but what is your particular expectations? What are you hoping to be addressed after this webinar?
so how to end the year in a better way? Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Okay, I said I want to know how to end the year in the best way possible.
All right, all right. Thank you so much for sharing, Priscilla.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Kosaki, we would like to hear from you. We hope to learn from your expertise and how we can end the year better and correct our mistakes. So, Mr. Saki, we're ready for you.
All right. Thank you so much, Cornelia. And I think it's always a privilege when I get the opportunity to speak to anyone, especially young people, because I know I am speaking to those who will be taking the reins of leadership in the very near future. So I did make an opportunity to share with you on the topic wrapping up the year the right way. So I'm going to share my screen, but for starters, what may be right for someone may be wrong for another. So no pressure at all. Um, what I would recommend is staying within your God-given assignments and ensuring that you execute as led. And this presentation, I believe, would dwell much more on the interactive side. So I'll make the slides so lengthy, but I'll ensure that we have much more of some interaction, which will bring out discussions. So basically, if I'll just go through a brief of what we'll touch on, there'll be an introduction and we'll look at where you stand. And then there's something I call the poisoned chalice, and then you buckle up for the landing, and then we'll refresh, revive, and reset. So there's this saying that no matter how fast you run, you can't be the winner if you don't finish. And to be the first to finish, you must finish first. You must consider going over the line before you think about um, your positioning, because if you've watched marathons, you would notice that those who get the highest applause necessarily may not be those who are first on the podium, but those who endure, go through the rigor of the lengthy journey, and then in the end, they cross the finish line. Essentially, for yourself, you are competing not with other people, but with your previous self. So um, don't give yourself pressure. Just get yourself focused into what you are supposed to do. So um, make sure that you cross the line. That is the objective of wrapping up and ensuring that you end the year well. So let's consider our various endeavors, the aims and targets that we set, what we want to achieve. Let's consider it as boarding a plane, getting onto a flight not based on geographical locations or destinations, but one that started in January. So the assumption that in January you put down some resolutions or some things that you wanted to achieve, some objectives. And in December is the time for reckoning and um, the time for you to see where you've gotten to. But please, is my screen visible? Is the PowerPoint presentation, has it started for you? I don't know if anybody can confirm for me. Hello, please, can someone confirm if they
Yeah.
see the
Hello, Mr. Saki.
slideshow?
Please,
Yes.
it's visible. It's
Okay,
currently
so you
on the
see,
intro page.
good. So you see a full slideshow, right?
Just the intro page.
Okay, good. So now it's moved to another page.
Yes, please.
Okay, good. All right, so we're done with that. But then, because you are in November and about to get to the destination in December, or to look out of the window and see if you are heading towards where you planned to be, I just want you to ask yourself, how does your looking back look like? When you look through the windows of the plane or the vehicle, um, are you on track or off track? Now, when we say on track, what we mean, it will be explained in the latter slides, but just for a gist, it means that um, by the end of December, or even right now, have you achieved your aims and objectives? I will give us a minute so that we will consider and write down some 2 or 3 things for which we put our minds to and for which we are either on track or off track. So you can create a table, right? On the left side, you can put on track. On the right side, you can put off track. And then on track, put down those targets that you set for yourself that you consider you are on track, meaning you would achieve by December or you have already achieved. And then on the right-hand side, you can put another there titled off track. And then you write some plans that you are yet to achieve or you feel realistically may not be achieved. And then put them in that section. So we'll just have a minute to do that. And you can interchange on course or on track, and then off course or off track. All right. So you can interchange those expressions. And remember, you are on a flight. All right. And therefore, if a flight is on track, you know what it means. If it is off track, you know what it means. It means you don't reach the destination at the appointed time. And we are hitting December, more or less, the time opportunity. And therefore, in the sense of the flight imagery, your fuel is low, right? Your fuel is about to get finished by the end of December. So, is your plane getting to the destination? All right, so I think I'll move on. I hope we have written down a thing or two. This is important because we want to try to measure our progress so far. All right, so where do you stand? Are you on track or you are off track with the various objectives? I hope we have put them in the table as I've discussed. Now, when we say we are on track, what do we mean? We mean that the targets that we set at the beginning of the year were specific, all right? There is this acronym of SMART. I think it's specific, measurable, time bound is the last one. The two in between, I'll find it later. But were we able to set specific targets for the year? And then did we plan? Now, the setting of the target is not alone on itself, right? If you're on track, it means you set targets, you planned, and then you implemented those plans. You also reviewed the outcomes of those plans or targets, adjusted and changed some courses of action that you had to. And then now, as we sit here, 29th November, you can see the results coming into fruition, or you have already achieved those results. It could be maybe an educational opportunity or a business or even your own fitness regimen that you want to tweak or get fit. And you would ask yourself, let's take the fitness example. In January, maybe you said you'd go out jogging 30 minutes for 3 days in a week. Looking back, what is the success rate, right? Have you been able to do that? And on top of that, once you set that target, did you map out the possible route of the gym that you would use? All right. Did you get yourself um, the the shoes you would need, the clothes you would need? Did you ready yourself by setting your alarm for a certain time? And then did you actually get up to wear those clothes, wear those shoes, leave at the time that you planned to go out jogging or exercising or to the gym? And were you able to, make adjustments when you noticed that time was not on your side? What did you do? Did you wake up earlier than the targeted time that you set for yourself so that you would still be able to meet your objective of maybe trimming down or becoming healthier? Did you revise strategies along the line? If so, then you should consider it maybe an on track aim that you are achieving or have achieved. But then, if you had to categorize one target as off track, then it means you may not even have set target at all. You didn't have a plan, and maybe you tried to do it. You saw some people engaging in some keep fit exercise, and then you tried to do that. But of course, since there's no motivation, probably you might go 1 week, 2 weeks, and that is it. And therefore, as you sit here in November, you probably are heavier than you were in January and may not have achieved anything significant. But that is not to deter you and to cause you to feel sad. Even if you are on track or off track, right, there are some things that you have to look out for. Now, we are talking about wrapping up the year well, all right, successfully. One that when you are crossing over, you go to church 31st December, it's about to hit midnight, and you are crossing over, you can look back and say that, oh, thankfully, by God's grace, I was able to do these things and achieve this and that. But if you are on track, right, you should avoid some of these things, because one principle that has guided me is that, you know, the only room that can never get filled is the room for improvement. So no matter what you have achieved, if you categorize yourself in the on track category or box, no matter what you've achieved, you should watch out for some of these things. And, self-adulation is one of them. Thinking that, you have achieved to the highest level that no one has ever done before, right? You should have humility on your side once you are on track with something. Else it could even derail you. And don't think you've reached the apex. Don't think that you don't need to reflect or review the path that you have used. All right? Don't think that your success is only for you. That's one thing that in modern trends and fads looks like thinking about oneself first and what one person or someone has to achieve in a venture is placed as topmost priority. But believe you me, any proper success benefits not only the successful person, but those who encounter him, those who are around him, and even to a great extent, generations that may not be born. You can talk about medicine. Those who have received Nobel Prizes for medicine in the past, we still use the medicines that they were able to come out with, the penicillins and all of that. We still use it. So true success must not only benefit you, all right? So avoid some selfishness if you are on track. Now, as I said, this presentation is quite short, so I would want us to be quite critical on especially this slide. one lesson I have learned is that, you may be considered the best at what you do. You may be hailed as the best person to do a particular task, or the best person with a certain character trait. But imagine what will happen if along the way you change. Along the way, the focus that you give to your work changes, all because you have received praise and your pride and ego has been puffed up to the extent that you feel you've arrived and therefore you are not going to fall. Even the Bible says, he who thinks he stands should be careful lest he falls. One counsel I got, when I was going to get married was the fact that our counselor told me that you are not a faithful husband until you die a faithful husband. Meaning, you might run the course of in this case, the marriage to a certain extent. You might receive praise, you're a good husband, a good father, and all of that. You stick by your wife, you support and all of that. But that must not change because being faithful, even the Bible gives you a crown if you are faithful unto the end. Right? So once you are on track, do not let it get into your head. That is the basic encouragement or admonition I would give for those who are on track in terms of a particular agenda. Now, if you are off track, is that the end of the world? No. Don't tell yourself that it is finished. You are worthless, right? Don't throw that journey into the bin. There's a reason why you thought about it or it came into your mind. And therefore, there should be some kind of examination, self-examination, before you draw conclusions that this thing is not for me. With the um, exercise example that I gave for the person who might be off track, who may not have set some objectives or targets, and just joined and then 2 weeks later tapered off and couldn't achieve their aim. Have you looked back to think upon those things that you should have employed to enable you also get fit? Did you buy some clothes and shoes? Also, it's all about data and Netflix subscriptions. Did you have accountability partners or someone who you felt would pull you along? Or all you had were over 5,000 friends and followers on your social media handles who you can't even meet and have meaningful interactions with? If you went off track, still examine the path that you took that got you to where you are, and then maintain interest and try to correct it. Because once you have life, you have hope. Don't be despondent, meaning don't be too downtrodden or downhearted. So long as you are alive, there is hope for you to be able to come back and plan well to execute your objective. There are several times where you might even feel that you are off track, and actually you may not be. All because at a point in time in the life cycle of your aim or your objective or your target, something is not working out for you. So don't call yourself a failure. Consult or go to someone who can be able to help. All right. In the multitude of counselors, there is safety. So don't go into sad mode, but look for someone to assist. For all you know, when that happens, you will be moved from the off track column to the on track column. Don't allow despondency to take over. Now, even if by November you know that, Charlie, this thing, I'll not be able to achieve it, you can still count on something, which is the experience you've had in taking that path. You can still remember how you felt after going for a run, the calories you burned, the way your day was light, you were able to go through the day without feeling tired, checked off all the things in your daily agenda that you were able to achieve, all because you went jogging or you went exercising, and you felt really good about it. Don't forget that kind of experience, even if you have not achieved what you thought you would achieve. So count the experience, even if you are off track, right? Let's move on. I think I wanted us to have about 30 minutes for more interaction. So let's move on. We are getting to the end, but before you land in an airport, right, you buckle up, you get ready. Now, to close off the year or to wrap it up well, if you are on course, right, make sure that the target you claim to have achieved is what you have actually achieved. Ensure that what looks like you have achieved is actually an achievement. Else, it will be like joining the plane to Kumasi, and then by the time you dozed off, by the time you are about to land, you hear the pilot saying that thank you for joining African World Airlines to Tamale. And then you ask yourself, what are you doing in Tamale? So make sure that you are getting to the destination that you actually planned to get to. Now, in the spirit of also not letting it get into your head, I would encourage that you do something that I call sharpen your saw. You've been able to shed weight right from the beginning of the year to date. Now, it's nice, but is that the optimal level for you? All right. Is that the optimal health level for you? So sharpen your saw. You can compare with maybe people you go jogging with, or compare with your previous self, as I always make reference to ensure that your achievement is not something you can't display to the world. All right. It's not bad to compare if there isn't malice underlying it, and if it doesn't lead to envy. So sharpen your saw and compare. Now, also allow humility to guide you. Even though you may have achieved, think about improving. Okay? The only room, as I said, that never gets full is the room for improvement. And this reminds me of a quote by Mother Teresa, and she was talking about whether you are praised or disgraced, right? Just keep a level mind, be level-minded, whether you overachieve or whether you fail. Keep a level mind and be ready to improve on your work, because much of the time, your achievements, someone just made this remark during the NSMQ that some of the schools, their achievement is some other schools throwback. So be humble. Your achievements, topmost achievement might be someone's throwback. And also keep in mind that you are not a winner until you cross the line. or until you win it. So if you are still on course, by December, you are supposed to achieve your aim. Keep the level head, keep grinding. And in the end, the horizon you see, you'll definitely cross it. Don't get into holiday mood when it is not the holiday yet. The holiday is next Friday, right? And don't rest before you get tired. Else, that is definitely laziness. You've not worked, but you want to rest before you get tired. So keep in mind that once you are on track or on course, crossing the finishing line matters. Now, if you are off course as well, just know that it's not the end of the world. Okay? Maybe your plane is about to land, you are buckling up. You open the window and you recognize that, and then you hear from the pilots that you are landing in Tamale instead of your destination, Kumasi. So know that that's not the end of the world. Probably you might have to spend some money to get a flight. I don't know whether they now do from Tamale to Kumasi. But if that's not the case, then it means you have to do from Tamale back to Accra, and then now you go to Kumasi. So it's not the end of the world. A delay is not necessarily a denial. Even sometimes a delay is to your benefit. Like some people who delays have helped. For example, when the World Trade Center was brought down by the terrorists, someone was late to work. He was delayed, but his life was not denied him because of that delay. That also does not mean that do not commit to your purpose or the objective or the aim or target you have set for yourself. But it is not the end of the world if you are not on course yet. I put yet there because you should not close the chapter. Don't back down. Now, if you are off course, also try to correct your course immediately once that is something you can do. Make sure that immediately you change your course of action. Is it some coding? Are there some inputs that are destroying what you want to get as an output? Seek help and then get those things out. And I believe you would achieve what you want to achieve. Look at what went wrong and see if you can correct it now or in the near future. That talks also about trying to retrace your steps and understand what actually went wrong. And all this is if you are off course. Now, one other thing too is that once the plane is about to land, you cannot turn around, right? You cannot turn the plane around immediately. Quietly accept that you took a wrong flight. You are now in Tamale. Go back and go and book again so that you get to your final destination peacefully. You might be angry with yourself and all of that, but face reality. What has happened has happened. Make peace with it, and then, more importantly, resolve to get better. Because if you just make peace with it, it may lead to you not punching above a certain standard. So make peace with it, but resolve to get better. I'll leave you with the last slide, which is to refresh, revive, and reset. Reset has become somewhat very common as the new administration took over, but it is important for all of us as we end the year. First, you've gone through the entire year. Some people have not taken their leave. I don't know whether it is to enable them get cash out of it, because some places you are paid for the days you do not take. But that is not too good for you because your body, your mind needs some rest, and it is good for your physical and mental health. So please refresh. Now, you also need to revive yourself. You don't just go and lie down, but make sure that in your rested or peaceful state, read a book, prepare yourself. In the back of your mind, try and think up what you can do better. Because the resolutions that you are that you made and that you are going to make for the next year, if you do not have some kind of practice, then you might be joking with yourself. So, what I encourage myself and my people at church, my young people at church, is that in the month of December, try and use about 2 weeks to live out your New Year's resolution. What do you want to do the following year in 2026? Try and practice it or live it out in the year 2025, December, or maybe in the last 2 weeks of December. Usually the first 2 weeks of December helps because the last 2 weeks, a lot of party, a lot of this outings and all of that, a lot of distraction. So try it out in the first 2 weeks and then see how that goes for you. So that once you enter 2026 and you put that plan or objective on paper, you would have had some experience in the prior year that you actually took this course of action. And even that 2 week period also enables you to spot the possible stumbling blocks and drawbacks so that you will be able to work on them before you even encounter them the next year, let's say 2026. So revive yourself, take a break, prepare yourself mentally, try and live out your objective for the upcoming year. It is not lost. And even if you've achieved your objective, you can always do better, forgetting what is in the past and striving on forward to achieve far greater things. Finally, you have to reset. Now, resetting, as is being bandied around, is not a simple political jargon, but it requires that you plan the actions that you are going to take to succeed. All right. With this new administration's talk of reset, 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 in 4 years, if we do not have anything to see, then the resets did not reset itself. So once you are thinking of resetting, plan well. What action lines are you going to take and how you are going to implement them for the future? Because, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, an unexamined life is not worth living. That is why corporates, businesses have periodic reviews. Banks have the monthly performance reviews. They prepare and post their quarterly financial reports. I work with a bank that's listed on the stock exchange, and mandatorily, you must make sure that you publish your financial results every quarter. It means that you should take stock of what has happened 3 months prior and give a report on that so that everyone will see where you are going to. As a human being, consider yourself also in that mode, like an institution. Make sure you um, take stock of your life. What has to change? What has to improve? Don't wait till the end of the year before you now come back to look at what you could have done. Else, what you could have saved may not be saved because you did not get back to a review earlier on. So, ladies and gentlemen, an unexamined life is not worth living. And I believe that if we consider all these things, of course, as well as the discussions we are going to have, we'll be able to wrap up the year very well. Thank you very much. And I think we can do some questions now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Saki. I think one key takeaway for me is an unexamined life is not worth living. Thank you so much for sharing and taking us to the session. Do we have any questions Any questions? I have any questions. Okay. I have questions. Davina.
Okay, Connie, I think you are muted. I don't know if I'm the only one who sees that you are muted.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I didn't notice I was muted. Yes. So I was saying thank you so much for the presentation. One thing I took away was he said an unexamined life is not worth living. I think for a while, for myself, I'm making that mistake. I don't take stock of my life, but this webinar has sort of been an eye opener for me. So thank you so much. Would be taking questions now. If you have any question, can you lift up a hand? I would call you. Let's see. Any questions? Any questions? Do you have like any questions, any comments, any additions you'd want to add? Anybody? Well, while wait for the questions, I'd just like to share a few takeaways. So, okay. Yes. So I think one key thing for me was you said true success must not only benefit you. For a while, it's always like me, myself, my family, myself, my family. But then mentioning the Nobel Prize winners, we never have one Nobel Prize winner who wins awards, and we say that, oh, this person is winning the award for being probably very good to their family. Each of those success stories have been how they benefit humanity at large. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Davina says, thank you, Mr. Saki, for the presentation. Do we have any questions, any concerns, any additions? Or do we take it that Mr. Saki did a very good job by answering all questions we might have in our minds? Anybody? Ngozi is agreeing with Mr. Saki. They are saying you did a very good job, so they have no questions. Said them no question. Richard. Okay, Davina is saying the same thing. All right. Okay, Davina, you have your hand up. Kindly unmute and speak.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. So my question is, you have like you journal down what you want to achieve, like your goals in this year. You were able to complete how, and you were not able to complete how. And sometimes you might give up on the ones that you couldn't accomplish. So I wanted to ask the ones that you couldn't accomplish, should you journal it to be like to work on it in the next coming year so that you can achieve those goals that you were not able to achieve?
Okay. Thank you, Davina. So, um, to think about whether you pursue it the following year or not depends on so many factors. Probably you couldn't achieve them because you it was difficult to combine with those other objectives that you achieved. Probably you couldn't achieve them because it wasn't within your strength. Now, one thing that you should look at before you even pick an agenda or something you want to achieve is to go behind and ask why. All right. Usually, if the why is strong enough, there is some intrinsic motivation for you to achieve it. And with the example that I gave, if you just saw some friends running on the streets every morning and you felt you should join them, right? That has a way of undermining your objective unless for your own sake, maybe you want to lose some weight, you want to look some way, you want to get the abs, you want to get the muscles. If that drives you enough, you will notice that achieving it is not too difficult. But then considering whether you can pursue or you should pursue it would once again come to the why. The why in terms of why you didn't achieve it, and then why you should continue to pursue it. Because sometimes you must be honest with yourself that does this fit into my um, future objectives? How I see myself in the future, does this fit into it? For example, as I sit here, I cannot say that I'll be able to play the Black Stars. My time is past. All right. So if I have that plan, I should cut it off right now. But another objective could be coming up with a business. Maybe you didn't work in 2025 because you were learning to code or some coding project was in the offing, and therefore you couldn't have enough time to even file your papers at the RGD, Registrar General's Department, to set up the company in the first place. With something like that, once you are done with your coding lessons in 2025, it frees up some time for you to register your company and start operations in 2026. So don't throw it out just yet. Think about the why behind it, why you failed, and why you should pursue it. Does it fit into the larger scheme of things and for your future? Yeah, so that's the response I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Well,
Mr. Saki, you are muted.
Oops, sorry. Um, I I see another question in the comments section. I don't see Connie Love around right now, but do I have the permission to read it out and then try to answer it?
Yes, please, you can.
All right. So, I think Sedem Ata Ado is asking, what frameworks or mental strategies do you apply during crisis or roadblocks as you move towards your goals? So, what frameworks or mental strategies do you apply during crisis as you um, move towards your goal? So, um, first and foremost, at the start of setting the goals, you should have counted the cost, right? I think it's Luke 14 or so. Luke 14, 28 to 30. I'm not too certain. I'll confirm if that's the scripture. It says that before you start a building, consider the cost, else you become the source of ridicule, right? So at the start, you should have quantified what you would need. And you should have also anticipated some roadblocks. But there are some crises that you may not be able to anticipate, like how COVID took over the entire space. So this question is legitimate. So what then do you do to, when you encounter these roadblocks? First and foremost, sometimes you have to ask a genuine question whether you should come to a pause. Now, when you come to a pause and the project is on hold, are there some resources that you would need to enable you come back stronger? Sometimes it's good to pause. So number one, what I usually do is I would pause, take a step back. You see the way it is easy for spectators and those who are watching a football match to be able to say what this player should have done. There was space to his right. Why didn't he move there? And all of that. So one of the things I do is usually step back and then just get a bird's eye view of what I am doing to see if I am able to overcome the stumbling blocks along the way. All right. So one strategy is to take a step back and then relook at what you are doing to achieve your goal and see how you can deal with those roadblocks. Do you have to go back to maybe step 3? You're at step 5 and you are blocked. Is there something in step 3 that you had to do? Go back and correct it and then come to step 4. And then when you get to step 5, the roadblocks probably would have been taken away. Now, another thing that helps me or that has helped me is not backing down. It's funny, but when we were growing up, we now laugh about it, right? But whenever we were playing football or engaged in something, for my team, I only close when we win. It will be 6 p.m. and people will be going, their parents will be calling them. But so long as my team is down and I still have the ball, I'll tell them that, look, if you go, I'll score you. You know, keeping or having a mental fortitude that makes you not back down. Not backing down does not mean doing the same thing that is getting you the wrong result, but the resolve in your mind that you can overcome this obstacle. There are some roadblocks that require us to dig deep. All right. There are some that require us to dig deep. For example, if you want to achieve some academic objectives, sleeping and waking up at 6 a.m. might not be the best. Dig deep, lose some 2 hours, maybe wake up at 4 to study, and you'll be able to achieve your aim. But never forget that it's always good to go back and restart. So these are some of the strategies I employ when I get to some crisis moments. Thank you. I don't know if there are other questions typed out as well.
Okay. These are there any other questions? Okay. Someone says, Michael, Kay says that was a very great presentation. I really appreciate your efforts and grateful for exhibiting such wisdom. Thank you, Michael. Priscilla is asking, how do you deal with unrealistic goal setting as an overachiever? Also, for the 2 weeks in December where you start practicing your goals, I didn't quite get that part. Is it the first 2 weeks or the last 2 weeks? Yeah, so those are the questions. Hello, Mr. Saki. If you are speaking, you are muted.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
No
So
worries.
I was saying that we tackle the second bit, which is looking at practicing your goals in the 2 weeks in December. So what I usually do is, if you know how December and Christmas celebrations can be like, where you are invited to parties and there are church events, and therefore, if you have a goal to deal with maybe food, for example, in 2026, I am going to make sure that I take sweet drinks just once a month. I am starting with once a month because I know where I'm coming from. All right. What I would do is that for the first 2 weeks, which is a period where it is plausible for me to go to because the parties do not start by then, right? I would schedule that in the first 2 weeks, I'm not going to take any sweet drink apart anything apart from water, any drink apart from water, right? And the mere fact that you're even able to achieve that gives you some bolster for the next year because a realistic goal is setting a target within some parameters. So if I set such a target for the last 2 weeks in December, when there is my birthday in the last 2 weeks of December, there is Boxing Day, there's Christmas, there's Boxing Day, there are parties here and there, New Year's Eve, New Year, the number of holidays in um, just the first few days in January. It would be a bit unrealistic because of the traffic, or should I call it the enjoyment that might be ensuing, right, on the lighter side. But if I set it within the first 2 weeks, you notice that achieving it is realistic and plausible. It doesn't mean that in the second 2 weeks of um, December, if you set it, it's not realistic. Everyone's situation will be different, right? But um, I would assume that starting practicing your goals would depend on so many factors, especially depend on what that goal is. If you want to, let's say, go on the road to jog every day, your objective is like every day you go, and you start it off in the last 2 weeks in December, won't Christmas activities hinder you? If not, you can go through it. When you go for 31st night and you come back exhausted, would you be able to run? If you can still wake up and run, why not? You can take it. So whether you do it in the first 2 weeks or the last 2 weeks, it must be realistic, in my opinion, so that you'll be able to achieve it. Now, the first question that came was that how do you deal with unrealistic goal setting as an overachiever? So, as an overachiever, you are predisposed or prone to setting some goals that may not be realistic because you are always on the grind, right? So, let's have an example. Before the goal becomes unrealistic, first, you've not changed as an overachiever, right? You've not changed as an overachiever. That's who you are. Before the goal becomes unrealistic, you would have to look at between now and then, all right, how possible it is to achieve that goal. Before you achieve that goal, between now and then, you have to look at how possible it is. Now, if it is unrealistic, right, you would have been able to identify it as an overachiever. If it is unrealistic, so long as you're able to give it the tag unrealistic, then you yourself, you know that this goal may not be achieved, or it will stretch me beyond my resources, or it will stretch me beyond my physical capabilities. So, to deal with unrealistic goals, you first have to measure, okay? Because one thing you can also do is to look at the consequences of not achieving your goal. You may be an overachiever, is good, but what would happen if you do not achieve it? You commit resources, time, funds into something, and you do not achieve it. It means you would waste resources. And in my opinion, that is not an achievement. Wasting resources is not an achievement. If that could possibly bring you below the level of being an overachiever, then you should watch it because to keep a certain standard, it doesn't mean you jump the highest or you reach the farthest or you have the heaviest bank account. It just means that you optimally get to the level you must get to. It is true, like this saying in UG has it that a man's reach must exceed his grasp, meaning if what you are to achieve is just within when you stretch forth your hand, then it doesn't challenge you enough. But it shouldn't be overbearing to the extent that in your mind, you know that from the word go, it is difficult to achieve. And I'm not talking about circumstances of faith. Faith is important, in the life that you live. But, faith means the impossible becoming possible. That is linked, but in terms of putting pen on paper, measuring, you can have elements of faith in your objectives. Like maybe you're applying to a school, you don't have the resources now. But so long as it's happened for someone, it can happen for you. So you try it and then you add the element of faith. But so long as it depends on you, let God and the Holy Spirit do his work. You can ask him to do it and also do your part by being realistic. So that's the response I would give to this particular question. Thank you. I hope I was able to answer it.
All right. Thank you. Are there any more questions? Any other questions? All right. So thank you so much for joining the session, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Saki, for the wisdom and the knowledge you've poured into us. I'm very
Hello,
certain that, okay,
please,
Erica.
the question typed in the chat. Please help me out.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Erica.
Okay.
So I'm going to read out Erica's question. She says, thank you, Mr. Saki, for the words of encouragement, and most importantly, for the God factor in your speech. I always drift away from my New Year resolution few months into the year, and keeping to it is difficult. I'm considering getting an accountable partner for accountability purposes. Could you please give me some tips on how to choose the right partner? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Erica. It's important, to if you have counselors around, there's safety. And in terms of before I talk about the accountability partner, um, you know, achieving a goal has the tendency to give birth to achieving other goals because a certain trend or pathway in the mind and your consciousness is built. Let's say if you set off running 1 kilometer, you targeted 1 kilometer and you achieved it. It gives you the impetus, the drive, and even in the physical sense, some fitness to be able to go the extra mile. So the next time you set it at 1.5 kilometers and you're able to achieve it, it builds the winner's spirit in you. Okay, that is why teams that have been winning continue to win. Some people say the rich keep getting richer. So once you set a goal that is realistic and you achieve, for instance, this goal that you say into the few months in the year, you lose track of it or it becomes difficult. Why don't you set an objective for which you would achieve in a month? Once you achieve the month, you can count yourself as an achiever. Now, it doesn't matter if it's a day or a month. You can count yourself as an achiever. For example, this year, I can't play professional football in my life, not ever. But there's this league, the Bankers League that goes on. Thankfully, we won the gala and we held the trophy. So I can call myself an achiever. It didn't bring me hundreds of thousands of dollars like it will do for proper footballers. but I can call myself an achiever. If I were to be playing in the under 17 and this achievement was done, I have built within myself the capability to go on to under 20 and see myself as someone who can win, to go on to under 23 and see myself as someone who can win. So, building the culture of winning or achieving helps, especially when you count the small victories. You shouldn't wait a whole year before a victory is recognized. Because once you recognize it in your mind, you record for yourself that you are an achiever. So when you achieve for January, you would achieve for February, you'd achieve for March. Forget about April, May, June. When you get to April, you'd work with the April timelines and try and achieve for April as well. By the time you notice you have achieved for November, you are getting into December, and then you are looking at achieving December as well. Because sometimes when the plan is very big and you do not break it down, it becomes a bit intimidating. So that in the end, probably as you are speaking and you say that you drift away a few months into the year, those first few months that you were able to do something, you achieved something, but you are looking at getting everything sorted by the end of the year. So you feel it becomes difficult. So, Erica, try and break it down. Try and achieve for January, go to February, do sorry, do that throughout, and then gradually, by the end of the year, you notice that you would have achieved a lot. Now, to the tips on how to choose the right accountability partner. And for this, it is so important to know who you are getting on board as an accountability partner because two cannot work together unless they are agreed, right? If the person does not, he likes working out, right? You want to run some aerobic exercises by running, but the person wants to lift metals. That person may not be the best suited person to be an accountability partner. You are all exercising all right, but the person wants to lift weights. You want to run. So if you go and pick them as an accountability partner, their exercise is stationary. It might not even motivate you to achieve your objective of running. So first and foremost, you should have been in some agreement where both of you love to run. Secondly, there's this thing that they say that choosing someone who has more drive or who has achieved more than you is likely to lift you up to their level. If the person is available or if it is possible, get someone who started what you want to achieve next year. They started a year before. So that apart from running with you, they can also give you advice. Probably even when they started, they could not achieve by the end of 2024, but they noticed that they should have bought a certain pair of shoes. And it is not now your turn to make the mistake and know that in 2027, you should be wearing these kinds of shoes. The person would have the experience to let you know the kind of shoes you have to wear for the run. So, one, the person must be in agreement with you, meaning you are running a similar path. And two, the person should likely be someone who has gone ahead of you and knows the terrain, has met the challenges and overcome them, and has achieved. That's why it's important to have mentors around because these mentors help to, shorten your journey, cut out a lot of frustrations, and enable you to win. Finally, what I would add is someone who you have more similarities with. And when I say that, it means that you look at your closer circles first, either geographically or in these times where there's a lot of online interaction. Maybe you are engaged in a certain business, let's say snail farming. You are based in Accra. Another person in the Brong-Ahafo region or Northwest or whatever region is also doing something similar. You can hit them up, get to ask about their experience. And because you are all thinking about snail farming, you'll be able to catch on and definitely have a partnership that will benefit both of you. But one thing that has helped me personally is giving free services. What do I mean by that? I once did an internship that earned me about 10 times less than what I was earning. This was after national service. After service, I had a job for about 6 months, but the career progression was not clear. But then there was this internship opportunity, which was going to earn about 10 times less. It was almost free, right? But there were lessons to be learned, and I knew it was going to build my career. So I took that opportunity and took that decision to help out or work with these people almost for free. And I acquired skills, I acquired connections and networks, and I was able to move ahead. So never despise labor that might look worthless or might look free. Okay? Never despise it at all. Because while you are doing it, you build the experience, you build the connections, and then you would even be able to get partners who would notice your input and they themselves will even want to mentor you. So I believe that is uh, my response for this question. I think there's another hand up. Prince Silla,
Yes, sir.
please go ahead.
So please, while talking about the labor thing, the fact that after NSS you had the opportunity to work somewhere for 6 months and then also went to a place where you were learning lesser, like 6 times or 3 times lesser than what you were earning earlier. I mean, I get your point of maybe being at such places for the skill. I mean, that's the most important thing. But I want to also ask, what like what would you suggest to somebody who has no means at all for um accommodating such? So let's say I'm in a situation where I do not have enough to partake in that internship which is free. You get it? Like, let's say in you have to pick car to work all the time, and
Mhm.
you are working for almost like 4 months or 6 months, and you are not earning anything at all. And you, as a person, you're already struggling. So, what advice would you give to such person, knowing that the person doesn't earn, and you cannot even depend on your, like, you can't depend on your parents for financial support to even partake in the skills, the free internship that would even give you a skill on a particular career or job that you want to do. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I have gotten this question before because I spoke about giving free service so that you'd learn and acquire skills. But after thinking about it, notice that I mentioned that I worked at somewhere for 6 months where I was earning 10 times more than where I moved into. Now, you may not be blessed with a circumstance where you may have some funds that will help you in your commute or in your living as you offer free services. But before you move into the free service and with the circumstance you've described, you definitely would need a hand, or you need help, or you need to do something that earns you something. Okay. So before you get into maybe giving the free service, you should have maybe engaged in some kind of work or something that would make you go by. I know there are stories of people who did not have anything at all, but found their way while they were, engaging in some economic activity. There are miracle stories like that. But I won't come and lie and say that I had zero when I moved into the place where I was earning 10 times less. No, I gathered enough to be able to help me move around. So the advice I can give is you can see the free opportunity. You can see the opportunity to serve someone without earning anything. You do not have a parent or family member to help at all. Genuinely, you do not have anyone to help at all. God will make a way for you. That is true. But try as much as possible to also find, even if you are going to earn the least possible amount, all right, you should still take the opportunity to gather something. In Ghana, I have always noticed that there is this talk about there isn't work, unemployment, there's unemployment and all of that. But believe you me, is the question really about unemployment or the type of work that we sometimes, when we are unemployed, we are looking forward to? Before I even took that internship opportunity, there was a certain job opportunity that was introduced to me. And this had to do with manual labor, right? A friend's friend uh, was constructing, I think, some buildings or something, some apartments. And so when I told them about the opportunity to find work, they told me that if I want work, I'll get. It will be about, learning to be like a mason. You carry blocks, you help at the construction site and all of that. And I thought about taking it until I got an opportunity. So it might not be flashy. It might not be flashy, but so long as it will earn you something and give you a certain foundation or pedestal to be able to um, fend for yourself once you are entering into a venture where you are offering free service, I believe you should take it. And even in modern times, I think the situation has been helped a bit because of social media. And now, even if you have a shop, you must not necessarily have a physical location, or if you sell things, or if you choose to sell things for someone and then earn a commission, you may not necessarily even have to have a physical location with a dispatch rider who the person buying the product is willing to pay for, and you marketing on social media, on your WhatsApp, all the things that we can use our social media for. We can definitely make a living or find a way to gather something before we go into it. Look, believe you me, once there is a will, there is a way. No matter how tough the situation is, if you have God on your side and you have the resolute mind that you are going to push for a certain agenda, you are going to do something, I don't think God will disappoint you and your efforts will not be in vain. So, Priscilla, thanks for the question. It's not an easy situation that you described at all, but once there's a will and you've handed over, your will, your strength, everything to God, and you put in the effort yourself, I believe strongly that a way will be made where there seems to be no way.
Thank
So,
you very much.
thank you. You are most welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody for making time to join the call. We trust that this call has been very helpful. This webinar has been very helpful to you. And we hope that you put in practice everything that has learned. Personally, I'm going to sit down, take the first 2 weeks in December and reflect on whether I'm on track or off track. Thank you, Mr. Kosaki, for the wisdom and sharing with us from your experience and all that. We truly appreciate you, and we are so thankful that you made time to join us for this webinar. We've eaten into your time, so we would like to say good night and would stay in touch. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Saki. Have a good
Thank you
night.
too. Enjoy your day too. Bye.
You too. Bye.